everyone, it's Tasleem here, and today's topic is about how dance serves as an equalizer for us and actually teaches us who we really are deep down inside. So you're probably wondering, what exactly does this mean? I promise I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to lead into it with a little anecdote about online dating. I will tell you what the connection is in just a couple of minutes. So I recently was having a little, I wouldn't even call it a conversation, but a messaging session with someone over online dating. And he basically just wrote to me and said, hey, thanks for, the match, because we both matched up. We both liked each other. And he said, what was it about my profile that stood out to you? And so I was a little thrown off because normally guys ask me something about myself, not what I liked about them. And I thought, okay, well, maybe this is fair because sometimes I don't know if someone's actually read my profile. Maybe he's wondering if I actually read his profile and actually looked at it. So I indulged him and I said, well, it looks like you have a good sense of balance between being creative and grounded, and you go after what you want to achieve. And he said, oh, you're totally right. Thanks for noticing that about me. And then he said, so how are we going to take this forward? Are we going to get on a phone call, a video chat, or meet in person? And I was like, whoa, like, I'm not one of those people that wants to endlessly like talk over online dating like apps, but at the same time, I don't give out my number just to anybody, and I want to see if there's any like friendly banter or how we even interact, even through just a couple of little messaging sessions back and forth before I even think about like whether I want this person to have my number and whether I want to do a call or meet up in person. So I was a little confused, and I looked back at his profile and I realized that everything that was written was very systematic in terms of like, he wrote that he has his PhD and that he went to Harvard and that he got this certificate or this degree or has this title or this job position. And it was very, like, it was impressive in terms of on paper, but I want to like see potential that we actually interact well and in a friendly way. And to me, someone's certificates and accolades and their position in their job, or even their job title, like even their career, does not really tell me who that person is. It's just something that they do. And I felt like he was under this impression that because I knew about his certificates and his job title and his position in his job and where he went to school, that I would be like so impressed, and I feel like now I know him, so of course why wouldn't we talk offline? And I was like, no, that's not how it works. So it really reminded me of something that dance taught me. So for those of you who don't know, and for those of you who might know a little bit about my story, I was a teacher. And when I stopped teaching and decided to leave teaching, I had gotten diagnosed with MS, and I didn't want to leave, but I knew I needed to take care of my health, and I couldn't continue teaching the way that I was functioning, or not really functioning at the time. And it was really hard for me, and I thought the hardest part was like missing teaching and not really, I had worked so hard to get that position, and I was doing something that I really loved. And but what really impacted me and kind of surprised me was that I also didn't know how to be a person without my job title. I didn't, I felt like me leaving my job actually made me confused about how I show up in other areas of my life, because the first question that people normally ask you after what's your name or how are you is, what do you do? And there's this kind of assumption that they're not just talking about like, what do you do when you wake up, or what do you do on your weekend? It's like, what do you do for your job, or what's your title, or what's your career? And everywhere I went, people were asking me this. And in the beginning, it was okay because I would say, oh, I'm a teacher, but I'm just taking a leave of absence right now. And then I was like, I was a teacher and I'm doing this and that. And then more and more time passed, and I couldn't show up at places without feeling really like, oh my God, I must be like a nobody, because when I didn't have an answer for what do you do, I thought, well, this person in front of me must be thinking that I don't do anything in my life and that I'm not worthy of anything because I don't have my teaching title, or I'm not a professional in something, or I didn't have my students running around calling me by my last name like I was so used to. And I was like, who am I? Like, and it was scary, and it felt really like almost as if the rest of my life was erased, like all the work that I did to get to that teaching career, all the time and effort that I put in. And I actually did go to a really prestigious university that was world renowned, but like to get there, and I didn't go there because of the name of the university. I went there for personal reasons, but it felt like none of that mattered. And really, I learned that it didn't, because why was I identifying my self with my certificate, my job title, where I went to university, what people called me, that I had a profession? Did that mean that without a profession, without a job title anymore, without an answer to what do you do as far as a career, did that mean that I am no longer a somebody? And that journey was so difficult for me whenever I went anywhere, because I felt like most people really do regard your career and what you've done to get there and who you are in your position in your job as like they they highly regard it. And without it, I felt a bit like people looked at me like, "Oh, are you just lazy? Like you don't do anything?" But the one place that was completely turned around was in dance. Because whether I was a teacher anymore or not, it really didn't matter when I came to dance. In fact, when I was a teacher, I felt like it kind of backfired on me that I was so academic and in my head, because I would go to dance and I was so out of my body. I wasn't like connected to my intuition, and I was so in my head that dancing felt very unfamiliar to me. And my body was like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't know how to do this. I know how to work in my head. I know how to work out problems. I know how to write. I know how to like put together, analyze and all that, but I don't know how to do this feeling thing and just going with the flow and muscle memory. Like, we've never done this, how do we do this? And so teaching for me wasn't like, it's not like I could hold up my teaching certificate or hold up my career title when I go into a dance place and say, it's okay that I can't do this dancing because look at me, I went to this university, or look at me, I have this job title, or look at me, like I'm have this profession. No one cared. No one cared, because that's not going to necessarily make me a better dancer. And it maybe should feel like that could be a negative thing, but it was such a relief when I didn't have a job anymore or a title, or because dance was like, I actually don't care what you do. Like, you're here right now in this dance studio or at this dance social, and right now we're dancing. And the person next to you could be a CEO, they could be a president, they could be a secretary, they could be a janitor, they could be anything. And it doesn't bring them down or up. We are actually all equals. And I even remember being in Buenos Aires learning tango, and how they were talking about how when we enter the milonga, the place for dancing for tango, nobody is above somebody else. Sure, there are instructors and performers that maybe we recognize because they're internationally known, and we might put them in our minds like above other dancers. But as far as like who we are as people, we are all level. It doesn't matter whether the person next to you is the janitor or whether they are, you know, a prestigious lawyer in their outside of dance life. It does not make them stand out in dancing. What makes us stand out in dancing is that we are there and present in the dance, learning to dance, and letting all the other stuff go. And it was so scary at the same time that it was such a relief, because nobody asked me, what do you do, when I was at a milonga. Like, there wasn't even time to do that. It was like, do you want to dance? Like, sometimes it wasn't even in English, like, and I felt like I was accepted whether I was a teacher and working or whether I was not a teacher and not working. I felt like I was accepted when however I felt, and whether I had a degree or not, whether I had a profession or not. And I think that is such a beautiful thing about dance, because society and culture and media put so much emphasis on us to just go, 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 achieve, achieve, achieve. And that makes us quote unquote valuable. Like, which university do you go to? Which kind of education are you going to get? How much time do you put into your work? And which position are you in your career? Like, that's celebrated and highly regarded outside of the dance scene. But when you're in dance, it's like, no, we are all human beings. We are all equals, and we're here to enjoy this beautiful activity that we all are passionate about. No matter what level you're at, you're still a part of the community. And even if you are at a really high level in your profession outside of dance, it didn't make you a better person than the other dancer next to you. And it was such an amazing environment for me to be in after I was no longer teaching, because in other environments I felt less than, and maybe that was my own insecurity, because I was like, I don't know how to go around the world or in my life now answering this question, what do you do? But when I would walk into dance, nobody asked me, what do you do? And I was kind of scared of that, because I really had to just dance. I had no excuse anymore. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, I can't do this dancing thing. I'm not very good at it, but it's okay because I'm a really good teacher out there, and it's okay because I got this university degree, or it's okay because I have these certificates and I have this profession. I didn't even have that to rely on as a crutch, but I also didn't have to worry about explaining to someone what I do now that I don't have a job. Dance was like, I don't freaking care what your job is. I don't care what you do. Let's be here. Let's move our bodies. Let's connect to the music. Let's connect to our partner. And whoever your partner is, you cannot judge them or feel lower than them or higher than them because of their job, because you are all equal. So that's what I mean by dance equalizing us. It was crazy when I was in Buenos Aires that I made sure I wasn't wearing a purse on my shoulder or like wearing jewelry or wearing any fancy clothes, because it's like a lot of poor, like, people are not really wealthy there or whatever, and there was a lot of crime and beautiful place, like, don't get me wrong, like, people are beautiful and stuff, but I got robbed almost a couple of times, and I knew that I wasn't supposed to be like flaunting, diamonds or expensive clothing or anything, because it just attracts attention. And it was kind of like really beautiful in a way, because I could just be me and not worry about getting extra like blinged up or anything like that, or dressed up. But then you go to the milongas and people are like crazy dressed up, and you wonder, where were these people during the day? But it's because in the milongas, the person that is wearing the suit, or the woman that's wearing the dress, or the woman that's wearing like the expensive looking jewelry, or the man that's like looking so debonair and classy, like, some of them might not have any job outside of their dancing life. They might be really high standing in their career, they might not be, but it did not matter, because dance just equalized all of us. Like, there you could dress up and do whatever you wanted, but it wasn't that you were in a higher standing because of your status in outside of dance life, or it wasn't because you made more money, or because you had certain, connections, or uh, degrees, or like titles, or anything like that. It was just like, we're here to look good, feel good, and enjoy the dancing. And I think that it's such an amazing thing to experience, and it's a courageous thing to experience, to get to know who you are without using your job title or accolades as a crutch. It's scary, because people ask me all the time, like, what do you do? And I started not being able to say I was a teacher, because I wasn't teaching anymore. But I realized I started asking people instead, what do you like to do? And I would then answer their question with things that I like to do, because I was like, what if I flip this around and just think about, like, what is it that I do? What is it that I enjoy doing? How do I spend my days mostly? What if I don't put myself down for not having the job or the career or the title anymore, and I just answer their question the way that I see it for myself? And dance taught me how to do that. Like, sometimes my answer was dancing, that I'm learning to dance, or that I'm writing about dance, or that I go to this dance class, or whatever it was. And that became something that, it wasn't even my identity, it was just something I do. And I realized that my career and my job and my accolades are not my identity. It's just something that I did. And dance helped me figure out who I really am, to the point where, like, now I can walk into a room and I know who I am, regardless of whether I have a career or don't, or whether I have a degree behind me or I don't. And I can actually decipher, like, and just pick out people who are not able to do that. Like the guy who wrote to me on online dating. I don't think he knew who he was, besides his Harvard degree and his um, PhD and his job title. And he felt like, because he gave me all those facts, I must know who he is now. And of course, we're going to start talking and maybe dating, because that's all I need to know. But I was like, no, that's not who you really are. I know I'm learning who I really am deep down inside, because thank you, dance, for teaching me how to do that. And when you can do that, you can walk into any room in any country, in any city, around anyone, and you don't feel lesser than because they might have a higher position than you. You don't feel higher than anybody because you have certain degrees or positions or titles above someone else. Dance reminds me that we are equals. We are equals, and we are here to learn who we really are. It's amazing when you achieve something in your life that you're really proud of, and you get a certificate or a degree, or you sacrifice something really big to achieve something that takes years to get to. And don't get me wrong, that takes a lot of hard work and dedication. But the point is that makes you a dedicated person. It makes you someone who is passionate about something and commits to something. It doesn't make you only a teacher or only a doctor or only physicist or whatever it is you are. It doesn't make you only a janitor. It doesn't make you only a secretary. You are so much more inside than your job and your title and your certificates or your lack of them. And I just want to remind you of that. And if you ever forget, go dancing, walk into that room, you will realize that people don't really care who you are, not because they're not compassionate. Sorry, I didn't mean to say they don't care who you are. They don't care what certificates and job titles you have behind you, and not because they're not compassionate, not because they don't care about you, but because we are there as dancers, all equal, all dancers, all people, all human beings. And dance is one of the best ways to get to know who you are underneath all those titles and all what society makes us believe is, our value. That's not our value. Our value is deep down inside. Go dancing. You will find out what that is, because it helps you tap into who you really are. And it's an amazing journey to get on that path to learn who you really are. Thanks for listening.